Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Stuck in the basement today with a fish. You know, these days I try not to engage in a lot of polemics and debate. And there was a time when I really reveled in all that sort of stuff. And you can watch my earlier videos to see all that if you really care to. Um, these days I try not to be very controversial and try to be a lot nicer and more polite. That said, I came across something that I realized I had a difference of opinion with somebody, and maybe not even a difference of opinion, just a different perspective. So what happened was this. I am on a Google group for Lamentations of the Flame Princess. I'm on a few different forums, for that. And somebody had asked a question, and I think they actually commented on one of my videos as well. And they were talking about, well, hey, I'm not really comfortable with only the fighter going up an attack bonus. So how about I make a house rule where, like, say, every 5 levels, the other classes go up 1 time, +1 in attack bonus, and maybe humans like every 3 levels that happens. And I thought, well, hey, that's a pretty normal house rule that people do. It's closer to the original basic, a little bit, just see how it works. No big deal. But I was kind of surprised at some of the comments that he got. And a few people were saying, well, hey, really the deal is with Lamentations, the levels really don't matter that much, and you're not really expected to live past a few levels anyway, so don't bother with it. It's not a big deal. And most of your characters, are going to die. They shouldn't be that around that long. Something along that lines. And I realized that these people weren't wrong. So if you're one of those people, don't take this the wrong way. I just had a different perspective. So I'm going to talk about my perspective in terms of character mortality and Lamentations of the Flame Princess in particular. And to me, this game is a really slick and well thought out bunch of modifications for this game. Lamentations of the Flame Princess is BXD&D. It's just the coolest set of improvements and rules and modifications for BXD I've ever seen. To me, BX is kind of the pinnacle of the game. It hits a sweet spot for me. It's simple, it's robust, all that good stuff. I've talked about it in the past. I have a video on it. Lamentations of the Flame Princess happens to be a great set of house rules for that. But to me, this game is no more lethal than this game. And it's not any more lethal than this game. Or this game, or any of the other OSR, clones or the original games. In fact, if you want to get technical, in this game, you died at 0 hit points. In this game, you die at -4. Same saving throws. It's inherently, mechanically, a little less lethal. So that's not it. So what is it? What were they getting at? I understand that the tone of Lamentations of the Flame Princess, if you read the book, and it's weird fantasy role-playing, and it's a little bit horror-ish, or it can be, some of the descriptions of, say, the classes and the spells, and etc., the way the book is written, it's kind of written in a bit of this creepy tone. But you take away all the fluff, because that's just fluff. Mechanically, it's the same as BX. So that's not it either. I don't know if James Edward Raji IV's intent was for that game to be, where the characters just didn't live all that long. But that really doesn't bother me. I don't care because, when I spent my 20 euros on this thing, plus shipping, and I got it, it's my game. I can do whatever I want with it. And so can you. You can do whatever you want with this game too, or whatever other game you play. So it's not necessarily that either. I've heard people talk about the fact that the various settings or modules or just, the modules, the adventures that people write for this game can be really tough. And I've read them, and some of them are extremely tough. And it's likely that you could die around every corner. But I got to be honest with you. I played in the early 80s. You ever hear of the Temple of Elemental Evil? I played the old modules, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. They're freaking meat grinders, So it's not like, to me, my perspective is that Lamentations of the Flame Princess is inherently no more lethal in the modules than the old D&D was. Maybe a little darker, but, you could certainly die in 1 heartbeat in the old ones. So that's not it either. So, to me, at the end of the day, it's like, well, how do you want to play it? For me, I love BXD&D. And this is a great set of house rules. Do I like every single one? No, I want my frickin' fireballs back. But I play the game. If I want to put fireballs back in, I can. But it's not inherently, to me, more lethal. In general, like all the OSR games are pretty pretty lethal. When you're a low-level character, you know, a life can be very short. You got to be very careful, and sometimes you just get a bad die roll. You know, you look at something like, say, Dungeon Crawl Classics. I think you can die faster than that than just about any game. It's not a feature of Lamentations or the Flame Princess. So I disagree. My perspective is different. I don't believe that you have to play that game in such a way that you're not going to make it up to some levels. I certainly did, and I had friends that did too. Did my wizard die at 7th level in one blow? Yes, but that was in the Temple of Elemental Evil, for crying out loud. That was kind of more of an advanced D&D ending than anything else. So that's my perspective on it. I don't think it's any more lethal. It can have a darker tone, but that's up to you whether you really want to adopt that dark tone or not. You know, once again, and I've said this a million times, the attraction of this game for me, it's hard to figure out. It's a mirror image here. The attraction for this game for me is it's this game, but with some really slick adaptations to make it even more playable.